So a moment ago, there was a little chaos. And can you release that chaos? Let it be. It's not here now. Was there? Understandably, there's other chaos going on in the world. So can you let the chaos that was, let that be in the past? Can you allow the chaos that is here, simply allow it to be here without trying to change it? And give yourself permission to drop your awareness into the body, into the here and now. And begin to feel the experience of your body. Before we move to the changes, we've spoken about that before making all those little micro adjustments, can you simply feel what you feel now? Feel the sit bones. Noticing the pressure on the sit bones, noticing the texture of whatever you're sitting on, the softness, hardness. Same for the feet, experiencing the feet on the floor or on the mat or on a blanket or whatever they're resting on. The pressure of the feet on the floor, the textures that your feet feel. Noticing the hand, noticing the torso, noticing the arms, the neck, shoulders. And accepting this moment just as it is. And then we can move to see if we can make adjustments to give us the ability to penetrate deeper into our being. So notice if there's any tension in the neck, shoulders, the legs, the back. And some tension is long term, it's going to be there, but some tension we don't even know we're holding. Can you let that tension release? Adjust on the sit bones. So there's an even balance, left, right, left. Release and lengthen the inner thighs, the inner groins. Draw from the outer knees to the outer hips and compact the hips together. Maintaining that base, draw the abdomen towards the spine, draw the front bottom ribs towards the back body, and lengthen from the hips through the armpits. And see if you can not just do one big lengthen, but actually lengthen from your hips to your bottom rib. Lengthen from your bottom rib to the rib above that. And then that rib to the rib above that. And that rib to the rib above that. And continuing to the top. As you lengthen, consider the back body as much as the front body. So you're lengthening both the front body and the back body. And allow the shoulders to drape down and away from the sides of your neck. Let your face become still. And bring the palms together with your thumbs at your chest, touching the palms evenly left to right, right to left. Scan the body again and see if any of those adjustments you made didn't hold, and readjust. And now we are in a new here and now. And again, notice the pressure of the sit bones, the pressure of the feet, the pressure of the hands, the torso. Experience the torso, the neck, shoulders, the face. Any emotional sensations inside. Noticing if it's the same or different. And accepting this moment just as it is. And let's chant this syllable Om 3 times together. Exhaling completely. Deep inhalation. Lifting your sternum towards the ceiling, lower your chin towards your heart. Release your hands onto your thighs with your palms up. With your eyes closed, raise your head. From the back of your head, gently let your eyelids up. All right. I want you to take your lift. The height of it is going to be dependent on you. But I have these blankets. This can be done with a towel or anything you have. It's folded to about this side, but I want you to notice this firm corner that is there. And you might need one blanket, 2 blankets. I used to use 2. Now I normally use 1. If you have 2, you stack those firm corners one on top of each other, right? So it's not this one. We often set blankets up in the opposite way. So I'm asking you to set it up in the same way so that you have this firm corner, 1 or 2 blankets, or 3, and have that corner facing forward. So if you're looking at it, it doesn't look all symmetric because this side is longer than that side. And if something's not making sense or not clear, you please let me know. And I want you to sit on it so that if you look through your leg, you'll spread your legs and you look down and you're just seeing the tip. So you're not way back here where you have this whole thing coming out. You're just seeing the tip. And the sit bones are being slightly pushed forward. You can take your fingertips by your hips on the outside. So everybody have that? Words making sense? Okay. So this is Upavista Konasana. We've done this before. It's a slightly different blanket setup. Which I don't teach quite as much because it takes longer to set up. And when you move to another pose, you need to adjust the blankets instead of keeping it. So there's less, there's more start and stop. But this is a beautiful way to practice this because it adjusts the hips in a nice way. Press the thigh bones down. If you experience your knees pressing down, well, what? If you're really pressing your knees down and there's nothing you can do, then you take a folded blanket or a rolled blanket, roll it part way, and you can place that above your knee. That will stop your knees from going down if you have some knee problems. But sometimes what I do, just to give myself a starting point, is I take my hands to the top of my thighs and I press down there. And then when I move my hands, they're still down. Because that signal is still there. So press the tops of the thighs down. Lengthen from the upper inner thigh through the knee, through the heel, through the ball of the big toe, and lengthen from the upper inner thigh back towards the abdomen. And you know, as no one here, at least in the live class, are raw beginners with me. You've all been here for a while. So for beginners, we teach, extend out through the leg, through the heel, through the ball of the big toe. And yes, we do that and maintain that. But as you bring this pose more into a forward bend, the action of the upper inner thighs drawing towards the abdomen becomes more important. Not more important so that you don't do the other part, but you have to add that on top of it. Just send the flesh of the inner thighs down, draw from the outer knees to the outer hips, compact the hips together. And gently using your hand, you don't have to turn your knuckles white, but gently using your hand, allow the lifting of the side ribs without lifting your shoulders, without pushing those ribs forward. Just keep the ribs in. Now I want you to keep the understanding of this setup in mind because we will be coming back to it. This is not the only time we're doing this pose, but we're coming out of it now. I want you to take hold of the inside of your knees. I want you to pull up, hold behind one knee, draw the flesh towards the buttock, drag the heel, straighten the leg, other leg, draw the flesh towards the buttock, drag the heel, straighten the leg. And now the blanket just feels kind of weird, although you could do Dandasana like this, but it feels a little bit weird. So we'll turn the blankets. Now, if you use the lower height, we're going to move to Baddha Konasana with the feet together, knees apart. So for me, I need a higher lift, or my pose is better, more easeful with a higher lift. So now I have the straight edge. I've taken a higher lift for me. You know your hips. You've done this, everyone here on this, I say call, I don't know what these are. Zoom meetings, Zoom calls. Everyone here in this class has done this before. So you know if you need a higher lift, I want you to have a strap with you or a version of a strap, a scarf, something like that. And sit on the edge of the blanket in Dandasana. You can peel the flesh away from the buttocks, hands by your hips. So do Dandasana first. And again, here in Dandasana, we tend to press those knees down. So you can take your hands to the tops of your thighs, push the thighs down, maintain the thighs down, and then take your hands back to your hips. Elbows towards each other. Lengthen through the inner thighs. And again, drawing back, right? So we're lengthening out. That is first. But you have to understand this drawing from the upper thighs back towards the abdomen. So can you experience the energy flowing in both directions? Right? We think of energy just always flowing one way. But what we're seeking here for many of these poses is not a one-way street, it's a two-way street. Draw from the outer knees to the outer hips, compact the hips together. And using your hands gently, now I have flat hands because I have a higher surface here. Gently push into that lift. Keep the ribs, front ribs into the body. The abdomen does move towards the back body and lengthen. The pause is to give you time to observe. I hope you are doing that. Then let your right leg fall out to the right. Hold on the inside of the knee. Don't just pull your leg back, but see if you can pull it out to the side as much as you can. I understand it comes back, but keep going to the side, 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 side. Other leg, let the leg go. Take it out to the side, 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 side. And then keep your knees as far apart as you can. Think the knees away as you then draw the feet towards each other, eventually to touch each other. And then you can take a strap, take it underneath your feet and reach down, right? For those who might be closer to the floor, or if you have the flexibility, if you really have the open hips to be on the floor, then yes, you can grasp underneath your toes. And for those of us that have the lift, then we can't get under the toes without leaning forward, so we use the strap. It's simply a lengthening of the arms. And then press the heels together. The balls of the big toes also press together. In fact, let's do this one this time. So when we're in Tadasana, which I understand I haven't taught today, but you've all done it. We talk sometimes, I teach it different ways. We talk about the four corners of the foot: the inner corner of the heel, the outer corner of the heel, the ball of the big toe, the ball of the little toe. And we ask for an equal pressure. So can you create an equal pressure between those 4 points where they meet? And it means an equal pressure of each of those 4 points on your foot, but that the left is pressing as equally to the right. The right is pressing equally to the left. And then there's an evenness between the corners of the heel, the ball of the big toe, the ball of the little toe. It's interesting. So I'm in this group, and the goal of the group is you share whatever you want to share. It's 100 days. Without getting into details, some people can share whatever they want, and they're artists and book writers and marketers, everyone, all from all different walks. And one of them happens to be a yoga person. And she's writing this yoga book based on chakras. And she's interviewing people. She interviewed someone from, I think, Argentina, who then coincidentally or happens to be an Iyengar teacher. And one of the words she used, which this other person, Janet, the writer, pulled out about Iyengar yoga, was it's about precision. But it's not. Even though I'm telling you, it's very precise. Those 4 points of your foot are very precise, equal balance, very precise. But it's about the mental penetration, which the person she interviewed mentioned, but that wasn't the word that stuck with, because people think Iyengar yoga is about precision, and it is not. That precision, what happens? Pick one of those places, just press the heel and notice what happens. And that's not wrong to do, to be clear. We're not talking right and wrong. And now just press the ball of the big toe. And now go after those four corners. And what happens to you? I can share what happens to me. It's harder to do, so I have to stay here. I have to my mind has to penetrate further, deeper, to even come close to doing that, because it's never achieved. I can press the center heel, that's easy. And I can feel the benefit, and then my mind can go off and do what it does. What do you need to do to begin to penetrate into your being? Because that's what we're doing here. If after these months together you still think we're doing a physical practice, it's fine. Nothing wrong with that, to be clear. But you are missing something. Take your hands on the outside of your knees. Push your legs together. Hold behind one knee. Draw the flesh towards the buttock. Straighten the leg. Draw the other leg. Draw the flesh towards the buttock. Straighten the leg. Hands by your hips. Dandasana. All right. Take the first setup you had. And you can adjust it. So for me, I did use two, just as I was demonstrating, but I'm going to go down to one. And look, maybe you don't need any, or you can also go to a half and then use that corner. I'm going to take one here with that corner. Take your chair. So your chair is in front of you. My chair is cold. I don't like cold chairs. So here's a blanket on top of my chair. This blanket's actually doing two things. It's also making it higher. Some of you are going to need a higher lift for that chair because you're going to lean forward. So not knowing what I'm going to need today, because I haven't done this pose yet today, I'm just going to put a second blanket on it, see how it goes. Some of you might want even a block on top of that, or you can go under it too, and then the blanket is on top. So again, the chair's in the way here, but as I look down here, I just have that little corner sticking out. And I can feel my sit bones just slightly being pushed forward. Not to really tilt it, but it's just a slight tilt forward so that we're not leaning into the lower back there. And I have my chair here. Now, before leaning forward, we're going into a forward bend. And I get that it's not the first time we've done this pose, but it's the first time in a long time I'm really describing it in this way and teaching it. Going back to what I said, back to what I said before, with precision, but not for the purpose of precision, but for the purpose of penetration. So you can take your hands to the top of the thighs, press them down, keep that mental marker there, and keep the thighs pressing down. Lengthen through the inner leg, and there is the outward, through the heel, through the ball of the big toe. But as we go forward, you must draw from the upper inner thighs to the abdomen. Draw from the outer knees to the outer hips. The more you get the backward action, drawing into the body from the inner thighs, from the outer knees to the outer hips, and then even, they're not really moving, but you're pushing the sit bones towards the wall behind you. The more you do that, the more you lean forward. Now, I'm not asking for your maximum. I'm just asking you to then rest your head. And you're seeking the bend forward, not in the torso, but more at that thigh hip connection. And keep the thighs pressing down to do that. And if your head just has to sink really low to get to the chair, then you take a higher lift. And I see some people are still setting up. If you have a question, certainly ask, and that's good. You're taking the time to set up. So I'm just saying that for those that are in it, we're waiting for others who are still setting up. And those who are setting up, we will wait for you. These are not easy times. Forward bends allow us to calm the sympathetic nervous system, that fight, flight, freeze, drop response we have. Notice as you're here, if you lose any of the actions of the legs. The legs control this. And if you don't notice it, chances are you're not paying attention, because most of us will lose it at some point. So celebrate that you notice it. Instead of going, oh no, I lost it. No, celebrate that you noticed it. Now, often when we're here, when I teach this pose with you, for those that have been coming regularly, I simply say, be here. The goal of this is simply to let your head rest. Now, the goal is to let your head rest. So to be clear, flesh moves from the forehead towards the nose. You want gravity to take hold of the facial features. And we have to also find a delicate balance of being and progressing. Being and progressing, I don't love the word, but being and going deeper. So I know some of you are in tighter quarters than others, but if you're here and your body, you have physical space in your space, and you feel is optimal for your body, push the chair out just a little bit, just an inch or two, not all the way. And as you do so, lengthen through the front of the spine. So lengthen from your pubic bone up the front of your spine, through your sternum, through your collarbone. And then re-engage the legs, thighs down. Ensure that you're drawing back, so upper thighs towards the abdomen, outer knees to outer hips with the sit bones back. Again, the further you can move that the physical parts of the body and the energy back, the further you go forward. And if this causes disturbance in the brain, in the head, then you've gone too far. You pull back. And maybe after you're here for a moment, you push that chair out another millimeter, inch and a half. Not rounding the back, but lengthening from the pubic bone through the navel, through the sternum, and then re-resting the head. And if you have any difficulties, you can feel free to unmute yourself and let me know. And maybe you do it just a little further as you draw. So now try and combine these as you draw from the upper thighs towards the abdomen, the outer knees to the outer hips. Push that chair forward another millimeter, another inch.
Lengthening through the front body. If you've kept your arms crossed the same way the whole time, now's a good time to cross them the opposite way.
So we're seeking the release of the brain, and we're also seeking to see if there's more length. Always remembering what's optimal for you.
And then slowly draw the chair back towards you.
Sit upright, hands by your hips. And I've shared before that this now, when I'm in a place of struggle, this is one of my go-to poses. But I had to learn how to do this pose for extended periods of time in this fashion, moving just a little bit, moving just a little bit, moving just a little bit. My legs moving out just a little bit to make space for me. All right, so now you can take hold of the inside of your knees, pull straight up. Hold behind your knee, draw the flesh towards the buttocks, drag the heel. Other leg, draw the flesh towards the buttocks, drag the heel, straighten the leg. Dandasana with the awkward blanket. And release. So now we're going to set up for Janu Shirshasana, which most of you have done before, again, with the support of the chair. So in case you don't know what pose I'm talking about by the name, have the chair nearby. You're going to have to pick your setup. So I'm going to use one blanket, but I have to be honest, my first 15 years of yoga was 2 or 3 blankets. So I just want to show you what this looks like. So from Dandasana, we sit on the edge. We'll let one leg fall out. And let's go to the right first. So let's the left leg fall out. Move that out to the side, take hold of the ankle, and draw that in. This right leg, if it's accessible, can go out a little bit, but you want, a 90-degree angle here. You don't have to fight for that wide one today. And then you take your chair over your foot. If you can't get your foot, chairs have different bottoms. If you can't get your foot underneath the chair, just put it inside of your leg. It's not a big deal. Or, you can now also stack up, right? At home, sometimes I just, stack up a whole bunch of blankets and pillows and bolsters too. So that's another way to do it. But the chair is nice. And again, I don't like cold chairs, so I will put a blanket on there. Some of you might need a higher one. Now, I want you to notice this knee for me. So this is my tighter hip. And still, only been doing this for 20 years, that knee doesn't go all the way down. So if that's the case for you, if it's close and it's not bothering you, it's not a big deal. My knee used to be way up here where I really needed it. Down there, some days I'll give it support, some days I won't. But you can just take a blanket under there, right? It's just a low blanket here. And if your knee's way up high, you can take a higher blanket. And I should say, I know some of you have real difficulty with your knees. So here we're in Upavista, again with the legs wide. If you can't get your knee this way, just use the wide legs. We're going to turn, we'll do that. That's fine. Straight leg is fine. Or this one here. So get the turn first. Allow for the extension outward. So upper inner thigh, straight leg through the inner knee, through the toe, bent leg through the inner knee, outer knees, outer hips, descending, the descendant of the inner thighs. Make sure you're drawing back towards the abdomen. And especially, this has more of a twist. Especially with a twist, you want that descending of the inner thighs. That really allows for more of a turn. And then release the turn, come back to center. We're doing fewer poses today. I decided today, whatever reason, universe told me, we're going deeper into these. I'm taking more time to teach these. And sometimes I just use my hand, one hand on the inside, one hand on the outside. Lift and turn, but I'm focusing on the legs as I turn. If you lost the legs and just focused on the torso, you lost everything. So I want you to re-engage the legs, lengthening out, drawing in, descending the inner thighs, and compacting the hips together. And of course, you be the judge. Don't believe me. But when I remember the legs in this pose, it is a drastically different pose for me. And then come back to center. Now turn again. Lift. Get the legs first. Draw back towards the abdomen, outer knees to outer hips, turn. And then keep a lift of the spine. So I'm actually going to bring the chair in for me a little closer. I put it out too far away. And then I'm going to lengthen the front body as I just rest the head. Let the flesh of your forehead go from the hairline towards your nose. Bring your left ribs around. And then go back to the legs and ensure that you are releasing and lengthening those groins, especially. The more you draw from the right outer knee to the outer hip, the straight leg, the more the left ribs wrap around. The more you draw that right sit bone back, the more your left ribs draw around. On the bent leg, the more you draw the upper inner thigh towards the abdomen, or lengthen from the upper inner thigh towards the abdomen, I should say, the more your knee moves away. So you have to learn these opposite actions and maintain, most importantly, the resting of the skull. Now, maybe you're here and you've found a sense of comfort. I don't want you to lose that comfort, but perhaps there is a deeper place to go, and you can move that chair an inch, 2 inches, a millimeter forward, while you, to be clear, draw back through the legs, especially that straight leg. For that one, is really the straight leg. The inner thigh moving back, the outer knee to the outer hip moving back. And then let that head rest. Breathe from the base of the spine to the top of the back, broaden across the top of the back, exhale below your navel. Let the skull rest. And maybe as you find a sense of ease without destroying the ease, lengthening from the pubic bone through the navel, through the chest, lengthen that chair away from you and lengthen the front of the spine as you do so. But remember, as you move the chair forward, as you lengthen the torso, you need to pull back, especially with that straight leg. And now you need to listen to your body. Maybe there's space to go deeper. Maybe not, and that's quite fine. And maybe if you move that chair just an inch or 2 inches further away, lengthening the front of the spine, it can maintain the ease and bring you to a deeper place, to penetrate further. And yeah, I see some of you. So for some of you, then that chair doesn't work anymore, and then you go to a bolster or 2 bolsters on your leg, or pillows on your legs, right? At some point, yes, the chair might be too high. But you have to remember, as you go lower, if you're moving to bolsters and blankets, you have to draw that thigh, the straight leg thigh, the inner thigh, the outer thigh, and yes, the top of the thigh too, to be clear, and lengthen. Not just, don't settle for that rounding of the back. There is a rounding in the back, I understand that. And it's supposed to be there, but can you also lengthen that front of the spine, from the pubic bone through the front spine? And then most importantly, re-rest the head. And then slowly, if you still have the chair, you can draw the chair back towards you to come up. If you've moved on to blankets, put your hands on the inside and outside of your leg and lift up so that you begin to get that concave back, right? We want to come out with a concave back. And then we can move the chair out of the way. Support the bent knee. Lift it up. Put that foot flat down. It's just safer. Hold behind the knee, straighten the leg. Just move the other leg next to it. And here we are back in Dandasana. How's everybody doing so far? We have a whole nother side to do. All right. I see a couple thumbs up and everyone's still here. So that's good. All right. Let the right leg fall out. Take hold of the inside of the knee. Remember, we're not pulling back. We're pulling out to the side as much as we can. Then take hold of the ankle. Keep the knee going away from you as you draw the foot in. And that's fine. So I'm in a 90-degree angle here. That's fine. But if I'm going to go a little bit more just because at this point that does create some ease for me. But we want to definitely start off with ease. Taking the chair. But now I'm just positioned in the chair, and I had to let my legs go when I did that. I totally forgot my legs as I got the chair. So now I'm going to go back to the legs. This front leg, I'm pushing the thigh down. Lengthening from the inner thigh, bent leg through the inner knee, straight leg through the inner knee, through the inner heel, through the ball of the big toe, and then drawing back the top of the groin. Drawing the outer knees to the outer hips. Now, I'm not just going to the chair. I'm going to get the flexibility in the spine. So I'm going to do the turn first. I'm going to keep my awareness on the legs. One hand inside the leg, one hand outside. Lift up to the spine and twist as if I'm not even going to go for it. I'm just twisting. This is a twist now. Descend the flesh of the inner thighs. See what happens. Draw the outer knees to the outer hips. Compact the hips. See what happens. Can you use your body as a lab to experiment and witness the results of the experiments? And then release the twist, come to center. One more time. Lift up, get the legs, inhale, exhale, come to center. Did I say inhale, come to center? I meant exhale, turn. Sometimes I have to hear my words. And come to center. And then lift, turn. Drop the shoulders. Engage the legs, which includes the release. Engage doesn't just mean, you're contracting the outer knees to the outer hips, but you're lengthening the inner thighs. You're descending the inner thighs. And come to center. Now we're going to go in. So lift, get those legs, really get the legs, turn, and release the arms.
Come forward, cross your forearms the opposite way, rest your head. Let your skull rest.
Wrap the right ribs around. Now remember, the more you draw from the upper inner thighs back, the straight leg I'm talking, outer knee to outer hip back, pushing that sit bone back, the more the right ribs will come around. Ensure that the skull is completely resting, the face soft. Now I'm going to go a little deeper with this in terms of the breath. If at any point you feel dizzy or there is a mental struggle, I want you to ignore the breath instructions and simply go to a regular breath.
On the exhalation, I want you to think of evacuating completely. So you'll do your,
It doesn't need to be a fast exhalation, but allow for the exhalation.
and then when you get to the end of it, there's still more breath there. So you can evacuate the lungs.
And then do not force the inhalation, let the inhalation come to you. And then take a regular breath. And then do that one more time. On the exhalation, evacuate completely. And then let the inhalation come to you. And be an observer of that inhalation. You may find it's quite different. And then return to a regular breath.
And then for some of you, you're going to find a sense of ease here. We'll move the chair out. So draw, especially that straight leg, the inner thigh towards the abdomen, the outer knee to the outer hip, and move that chair away a little bit. If you're down on bolsters and pillows, you move that bolster towards your foot to lengthen. So that, again, you're lengthening the front of your spine. And on your next exhalation, evacuate. So exhale peacefully, slowly, and then when you get to the end, there's more. Evacuate completely. You don't need to inhale right away. There may be a natural pause. Let the inhalation come to you. Take a regular breath, a couple regular breaths, and then repeat. When you evacuate, I want you to observe the experience of your brain after the evacuation. And simply allow for the inhalation. And then return to a regular breath, especially if you're starting out on this work. You don't want to do multiple breaths in a row. You don't want to get dizzy from this. As you build up, obviously, you can do them consecutively. I've been doing this for a long time. Sometimes I do it consecutively, but more often than not, I have to pause in between. If you'd like, draw the inner outer thighs back and move that chair further towards your foot, or those pillows or bolsters further towards your foot. And then before just going to your breath, ensure that your skull is releasing, your face is released. And if it's comfortable and accessible to you,
On your exhalation, exhale peacefully and then evacuate completely. Don't hold the breath, but there's a natural pause that takes place there to observe. And inhale, allow the inhalation to come to you. And come to a regular breath. Feels like a good time. Draw that chair towards you. If you have no chair, then the hands go next to you so you can get that concave back. Move that chair out of the way. Hold behind the knee. Come up. Hold behind the knee. Straighten the legs together. We're going to do Upavista Konasana one more time. So since we've been taking the time, we could have just gone right into it with the blanket like this. But as long as we've been doing these adjustments, let's adjust the blanket. Take that tip, right? So we have the corner now. Separate those legs, get the chair. Why am I doing this now? Because there's a very good chance that this will feel like a completely different pose. Maybe not, I don't know. But again, we're using the body as a lab to experiment. So get the legs, thighs down. I'm using my hands at the top of the thighs to get that memory, pushing down, then it maintains. Lengthen out through the leg and drawing back in, drawing from the outer knees to the outer hips. Pushing the chair slightly forward and resting my head. Is this different? Is it the same? Draw the legs back, inner and outer, and maybe push that chair a little further out. Not all the way out. If you go in small baby step stages, you get further. If I try and go all the way out at the beginning, I'm done. But those days when I practice with patience, I slowly, minute by minute, inch by inch, I continually to extend further out, further the front of the spine. So you don't have to wait for me. You can do it at your pace. Maybe it's now, a little further, if that's there for you. You also don't have to. At some point, you may reach today's maximum. Yeah, I see someone, move the chair, put a block there. That's wonderful. And then you begin to move the block, not just down, to be clear, right? High block, medium block, low block. It's not just moving it down, it's moving it further away. And eventually it has to go down. But think further away, not just down. And in order to get further away, you have to draw the legs back. Now, everybody, if you felt comfort with the exhalations we were doing before, then do it here in the forward bend. On the exhalation, evacuate. Pause. Don't force a pause. Don't elongate the pause. Just allow for a pause. And then let the inhalation come. And then take a regular breath or two or three. And then again, on your exhalation, without forcing,
evacuate. At the end, there's a little bit of force in, but it's not that you're just trying to evacuate it as quickly as possible. You're allowing for the exhalation, and then at the end, there's more breath there, and you evacuate that. Notice the results of that. It's not about the evacuation. What happens to your brain? And slowly inhale, come up, either drawing the chair towards you. Go to a regular breath first if you haven't. Go to a regular breath, and then come up. If you're not using the chair, then use your hands to walk back so you get that concave back, right? You can just walk your hands back slowly. And then here you are in Upavista Konasana. Take hold of the inside of your knees, pull up, hold behind one knee, draw the flesh towards the buttock, straighten the leg. Other leg, draw the flesh towards the buttock, straighten the leg. Dandasana. So I've done a lot of forward bends. I do want to open the chest, open the shoulders. So we'll do a supported Setu Bandha. You can take a blanket or towel from this size. I'm folding it in half like this. Okay, so get something that is sort of this size. You can use a block or blankets, right? So have something here, you know, for your buttocks. It can be a couple blankets or a couple pillows. And if you have a block or a whole bunch of stuff, you can even have your legs raised. And we did this, I don't know, last week or a few weeks ago, right? So you can have a lift for your legs, especially those of you that have difficulty in your lower back. Take a higher lift for your legs. So I'm going to use a block, but again, you can use blankets, books underneath your buttocks. I'm going to have a slight lift. You can use blocks, anything here for your feet. Shoulders on the blanket, head on the floor. Your choice whether you want to take your a low block, a medium block, or high block. You know, today for me, I can do the high block, but I'm feeling a medium block, especially after all the forward bends. Roll the shoulders under, straighten the legs. Comfortable arms. They can be Shavasana arms out by your sides. For some, those kind of cactus arms may work better. Okay? So set that up. If anybody has any questions about that setup, I'm pretty sure most of you have done this before with me. Let's see if I see anybody with problems. If you have any questions, do let me know. So lift that buttocks up, place that block. Karen, that block looks a little, Karen and Paris, that block looks a little too high up the back. Turn it. Turn the block. Yes. You know, ultimately we get straight legs, but if that's bothersome today and you want to bend your legs, bend your legs. Chaya, bend your legs for a minute. Turn that block. Lift your buttocks, turn the block. That's a block under you, right? Turn it. Yeah, turn it. That way. If it's the medium height, it's the other way. Lift it up. There you go. Now straighten your legs. I'm not concerned with how close the feet are together. That work that we were doing in the forward bends about extending from the inner leg through the inner knee, through the inner heel, and then extending from the upper inner thighs back towards the abdomen is here as well. The flesh of the inner thigh is descending. Now it's more thinking it, using your brain to move the energy. So can you think of yourself moving the energy in your body? And Shai, sorry, if you had it that way and I just didn't see it right, then my apologies. Again, technology. And for those that are bending your legs, one, it's totally fine, bend your legs. But as you practice, as you experiment, as you use your body for a lab, you may find that having a higher lift underneath your legs is going to help you. So you don't have to move now. Enjoy what you have now. We'll be here for another minute. But experiment. Make this your practice. Pressing the thigh bones down will also help. Thigh bones down, tailbone up helps the lower back. Top of the buttocks towards your heels. Those three actions in conjunction. And everyone bend your legs. Come out easefully. So keep the block where it is. Lift your buttocks up. Come back down onto the block. And then lift up again. Come back down onto the block. And then lift up, remove the block. Come down from the top of the spine to the base of your spine. Sit bones towards your heels. Take a few breaths. Bend your legs into your chest. Roll to the right. Set yourself up for Shavasana. So take a blanket for your head. If the forward bends have caused irritation in your lower back, please take a chair for your calves, right? So you can have your blanket here for your head. You have a chair. Again, I don't like cold chairs on my legs. And I don't have long leggings on, so I'll take a blanket there. You don't have to use the chair. But it can be nice. Take that chair for your calves. Take that blanket for your neck and head. It just touches the tips of your shoulders. If you want first, just give yourself a nice little hug. But give yourself a hug like you mean it. Say something really kind to yourself. And then take your legs on the chair or straight on the floor. And it is time to let go. It is time to surrender. Can you become an observer? This class was a more restorative class, but we included doings, going deeper. Can you free yourself from all that work now? Free yourself from the wanting of getting somewhere, of getting deeper, of getting to wherever that place you think you're supposed to be, or we're supposed to go, or this journey is supposed to take us. Can you free yourself of that? And observe what is here now. The pressure of the body against the floor. The touch of the breath, the prana, as it flows into your body and out of your body. Remember, you do not need to breathe. The breath will breathe you. Without seeking any type of change or perfection, can you hold a welcoming nature for this moment? Simply a welcoming nature. Giving this moment permission to be here just as it shows up. Like a dear friend who you care for and who cares for you. Begin to lengthen the inhalation, deepen the inhalation, slowly lengthen the exhalation.
Wiggle your toes, wiggle your nose. If your legs are on the chair, leave them on the chair. Otherwise, bend your legs. Place your feet on the floor with your knees together, feet apart. Your hands on your abdomen or your chest for everybody. And then pick a side, extend your arm past your ear. If your legs are on the chair, now bend them into your chest, roll to the side. Otherwise, just roll to the side. Take a moment here. Can you hold this place of observer, of observation? And when you get up and leave and move about the world with doings, can you maintain a sense of this observer with you? Can you observe while you do? Turn your torso towards the floor, push to come up to sitting. Cross your legs the opposite way you did the first time, or if a chair is more comfortable, just sit in that chair that's near you. Offer gratitude to those who have shared this time together. Those other squares on the screen. Show up and make this possible. Offer your gratitude to them. We're all connected here. We're physically distant and we're all connected. And can you receive the gratitude that is being sent to you by all these people we are sharing this time and space with? Can you receive their gratitude? You are important. You are here. We thank you. Let's close our practice together with one collective Om. Deep inhalation. Om. Let your eyes open. Big smile. Namaste. Bow to the divine within you.